Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I have got these beautiful book-matched walnut slabs that we're going to be turning into a tabletop, but unfortunately the idiot that milled and dried them didn't stack them right, and so they've got a lot of twist in them, as you can see here. It's me, and I'm the idiot. So let me show you how I plan on fixing this. Okay, so we're going to treat this twisted board like a cupped board. So what I'm showing you here is if I was to take this entire slab and flatten it as one, I would lose effectively all this material and this material here, giving me a slab that is some fraction smaller than what I started with. I can't afford to lose any thickness. So what we're going to do is cut it into sections here where you can see I'm losing much more material, and then I will joint those faces perpendicular again, glue it all back together, and it should be perfectly flat with much less material lost. So let's give that a try. So to start, I'm going to remove this live edge because ultimately this will be the part that matches with the other book match set to make the tabletop. So I'm going to get rid of this first, and to do that I'm using my track saw, as you can see here. Yes, it's a green saw, but it's not that green saw, so you can tell what kind of tax bracket I roll in. Also, I wanted to note what material thickness we're starting with. So this is just under 2 inches. I think it was 1.9, something like that. So we'll keep track of that towards the end of the video and see where we end up. I have to say this track saw is pretty handy. I don't use it very often, but when I do need it, it's because it is needed for a very specific purpose, and this is no different. So if you can find one of these Grizzlies secondhand, I would recommend picking it up. I know the Festools are significantly more expensive, but this seems to do the job just well for a fraction of the price. My one gripe, I'll say, is this little 6 1/4 inch blade just doesn't have enough to reach the bottom of this slab, but I think most of us watching this video can relate in one way or another. I'm just gonna leave that there. Nonetheless, I pressed on. I made do and was able to eventually break this slab into 3 separate pieces, and you can see here with my winding sticks just how twisted it is. So now to untwist it, and to do that, I'm going to use my home-built flattening table, and I've got the kind of twisted part supported. This is a wind router in a tray with a 2.5 inch flattening bit. If you've followed my channel for a while, you're no stranger to this death trap, but it gets the job done, and it gets the job done very well. So here we go, just a couple quick passes over this first part of the slab just to get it flat enough that it will ride through the planer without rocking. Now, I realize not everyone has their own death trap flattening table, which is probably best for your health. So in lieu of that, you can use a planer with a sled. There's plenty of videos on YouTube about that. I encourage you to take a look. The second piece of wood here was flat enough. I felt comfortable running it over the jointer, and so I did that. And eventually I've got 3 boards, each with one side, twistless, which is what we were after. So from there, we'll take it, run it through the planer, and get the back side to match the front side in that regard. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty good about myself. My ego can barely fit in the room with me, but I still have a couple of spots on these boards that aren't quite flat yet, as you can see here. And that's not from the twist, that's just from poor milling practices. Again, thanks to the guy who mills my lumber. So at this point, I think these boards were 1.75 inches thick. So I did a good job of managing thickness there. Ultimately, to get these spots out, I had to go down to 1.5 inches. Not ideal, but also not the end of the world. So now there's nothing really left to do except magic these things back together into one solid piece. And by magic, I mean tight bond. That's all there is. So I hope you learned something from this video. Will this fix all twists? Absolutely not. But it worked for me, and hopefully it'll work for you. So here is the finished product. Misaligned glue up and all. That's why we use dowels, folks. But regardless, you can see that there is no more twists in this board. So as you can see, this is the second slab that you would see laying on the ground from time to time in the video. And what I'm going to be doing is taking this one and the other one and building a dining room table out of it. And there's gonna be some cool stuff in there that maybe you haven't seen before. So stick around for that one. We'll see you on the next one.